Welcome back to Built for Profit, guys. I am absolutely thrilled to have Kelsey joining me today. She's calling in from Santa Barbara, California. And okay, we were just talking a little bit before we clicked record here, and I just want to dive straight into her story a little bit, how she even got into what we'll eventually get to is how they're kind of transforming the construction space by using AI in the estimation process. So can't wait to talk about that as well. But Kelsey, number one, welcome to the podcast. And number two, if you want to kick us off by just saying, who is Kelsey and kind of tell us a little bit of your story a little bit.
Thanks so much, Austin. Thrilled to be here to talk about exactly how AI is transforming the construction industry. But I'm going to talk about it in a very sort of normal speak way because for listeners of the podcast, I did not come from an AI background. I didn't come from even a construction technology background to start. Actually, come from an entertainment background. I was an actress and a screenwriter for 10 years before I found my way into digital marketing.
Love it.
So I'm currently the head of marketing for Toggle AI, which is an AI-assisted construction takeoff software. And we'll get to all that. But something that I love to share with people right off the bat is that I actually got into digital marketing because I found there was this really big gap between how people would speak about technology, B2B SaaS, and actually having people understand what they were saying.
Yeah.
So I kind of take my screenwriting experience and my experience from film and television, and I try to make content entertaining for people so that we can translate those complicated ideas about technology into layman's terms. Just talk to me like I'm a normal person. Tell me why I should care about this technology. I don't really care about, well, not that I don't care, but it's not my first priority to know the ones and zeros of how the
Yeah,
technology works. I want to know how it's going to help my business.
absolutely. I love Kelsey. That's so powerful. I think that's like a unique ability in your world to bring that experience into a whole different market because like I'm very new to content and just media consumption, I guess. But I've always been a media consumer, but what I have realized is just getting that ability to draw attention to something over and over and over and over again. So can you speak a little bit of how obviously you took the screenwriting skill set, the actress skill set, and have brought that into the marketing and specifically for y'all's company now,
Yeah.
is your goal to really entertain first and then educate second, or kind of what's your approach there?
Yes, that's exactly right. So I'll walk you through the ad campaign that I created end to end last year for Toggle that ended up getting us 3 million impressions and went very,
Wow.
very viral. So, and it is very much based in a pain point for the construction industry. So what I do is I start with that pain point. What do real people care about? What do real people hate doing in their day-to-day lives?
Yeah.
We saw more than anything else was that construction companies were very stuck in the 90s. They have old computers, they have old software that is on-prem. They have to download it. That software, the big guys very often don't update much. Or if they do, you have to pay for it. And then your
Yeah.
IT company has to go around and like every single computer has to have the new update.
Yeah.
It's like Windows 99, so outdated. So knowing that, what I did, instead of doing some flashy ad about artificial intelligence, what I did was because of my acting background, I was like, okay, we're going to save some money. I'll be the actress in this
Okay.
commercial. I got a hideous wig from like a horrible 90s haircut, like John and
Okay.
Kate plus eight, a ridiculous, like outdated outfit. We went to Warner Brothers in LA, their prop room, and we got old tech from the 90s. We
That's
built a
awesome.
set that
Oh,
was
wow.
we built like an office set with like a fax machine.
Oh,
And it
yeah.
was so fun. The entire campaign was, is your construction takeoff process stuck in the 90s? Welcome
That's
to
good.
Toggle AI. We're going to take you into the present and into the future. So that's a really, I think, a good example of
Yeah.
something that hits home for people.
Yeah.
but also presenting the solution to them at the same time.
Yep. Yep. I love it. Well, I love that you brought the entertainment feature into that. And obviously you saw the fruit from the labor already, getting those 3 million impressions, which is so wild to me. So can you that's a great segue into how you are bringing construction companies from the 90s into 2026
Yeah.
and how you're leveraging that. So can you explain to the viewers of just like how y'all serve construction companies and bring them forward into the future?
Absolutely. So I think that what makes Toggle AI special is that we actually created the AI first, and the people who built it are builders. They are from
Oh,
a construction background. So we've got over a century of experience of when you combine the leadership team of Toggle AI, people come from the construction sector. So, our CEO and founder, Patrick Murphy, his family has one of the biggest construction firms in Florida, Coastal
okay.
Construction, and he used to go on job sites with his grandfather and do estimating with his grandfather with, the ruler, the pencil, and the paper plans.
Yeah.
And then, it did get digitized kind of in the 90s where there were some softwares where you could upload your plans, but you have to manually click and count every point, every single thing you have to manually click it, count it. It takes a long time, up to
Yeah.
weeks depending on the size of the project, right? So Patrick was interested in the technology space and he was thinking like, is there a way that we can automate this manual clicking and counting? Can a computer do the repetitive, mundane, manual sort of data processing tasks so that the human estimator can spend their time in a more valuable way? They can do value adds, they can really get into the scope. Like there's
Yeah.
so many more interesting things that require human intelligence and
Yep.
human strategy that are not clicking and coloring. And
Yeah.
so that's how Toggle was built. That's why Toggle was built, because people were sick of the manual clicking and counting. And so
Yeah.
now what I think is really important for just the general public to understand is that AI, we know it, it's a buzzword, but a lot of companies that advertise like an AI add on, it's really just like a wrapper around something else. It's not true artificial intelligence that is
Exactly. Yeah.
for construction. So that's what we really pride ourselves on. We built our AI from scratch, and a really key piece of why Toggle is different than the competition is our AI only looks at your plan set to give you the answers that you need. So, whereas if you put something into a general LM, like a chat GPT pulls answers from all over the internet and it
Yep.
can do it's called hallucinating, right?
Yep.
It gives
That's
you a
right.
false answer. So Toggle's AI is gated, so it's only looking at your data and your data isn't being shared anywhere else.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
great.
really, really important that
Yeah, I
people.
appreciate you saying that because I've experienced that in my own life. I'm on ChatGPT basically every day, just
Yeah.
exploring and learning and trying to leverage. And to your point, I've had the solution hallucination experiences
Mhm.
because it's gathering, right? And I think there's massive power. And I think I appreciate you explaining that because there's a lot of people out there that probably are like, well, AI is AI, and they don't quite understand the whole parameters and boundaries that you have to create something that is effective over and
Right.
over and over again. And so, yeah. And to your point, Kelsey, this is you bring up another great point of the AI buzzword and a lot of people advertising AI. But what I've realized, and you can probably attest to this too, is that people are advertising AI, but in reality, it's just a little bit of automation. And there's a massive difference between automation and AI, right? And so I think there's, power from what y'all are doing to say,
Preach.
okay, this is something that is going in. So anyway, I'd love for you to speak to that a little bit of just kind of explaining to the users maybe the difference between automation and AI.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, without going too technical and in the weeds,
Yeah.
you can think of artificial intelligence as using parameters. I think the key word there is intelligence. It
Yeah.
has to be smart enough to recognize something and give you the correct output. Automation is simply like checking off tasks. It has no It has no intelligent way to understand the context
Yeah.
of why a certain output is correct or not.
Yep.
Hope that makes sense.
For sure.
A way to think about it, um, ok I'll use Toggle, I'll just continue to use Toggle as an example. Our
Yeah.
artificial intelligence, the reason it's intelligent is it is trained only on construction documents, so it can intelligently give you like, it will know how to recognize a toilet on a plan, 'cause to give
Yeah,
you an
exactly.
example, right?
Yeah.
Versus an automation couldn't do that because it wouldn't have the intelligence to understand that image or that icon in a plan. Does
Yep.
that
It's a
translate?
great, great analogy there. That's a perfect way to describe it, and that's kind of my understanding as well. I mean, just from getting to that point, because that automation piece would literally, if it's not the exact same cutout of the toilet description that it knows previously, there's no way it would be able to detect that. And the
Mhm.
intelligent piece, I think, is so powerful there. So, one thing I want to mention, this is what makes me so fun, because a lot of people, obviously, AI is the buzzword. People are scared of AI. They're thinking about like replacing people and all these different things. Here's what I love about the world that we get to live in is that with technologies like yours, it allows you to get out of this mundane, mindless
Yep,
things that humans were never created to do.
that's
It's
right.
like we have this powerful thing between our ears called a brain that we can problem solve and be creative and do these things that really is the best use of our time or our efforts. And now to eliminate those things that you're talking about of clicking buttons, how many toilets are in this building? How many walls do we need paint or all the different things that you're doing manually? It
Mhm.
just now gives the capacity for people to use the best thing that they have, which is their brain. And so I just love that you're building and literally releasing this to the world to allow people to leverage the power that they were originally born with, which is their brain, which is so much fun for me.
That's a
So I
really
love it.
point. Yeah.
Well, Kelsey, that's so much fun. Okay, so I'm curious as y'all are continuing up, tell us a little bit. We talked, a little bit before hitting record, but how did you, obviously coming in, hired on from the marketing deal? How old's the company? And then also tell us a little bit of like it's still being a fairly new company. Who's your ideal avatar? Who y'all are kind of pursuing that are the ideal clients that you want to serve?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Toggle was really created, I would say back in 2021 would be the first year that it was really sort of under construction, if you will.
Yeah,
With 2022 being the year that they started to release it to sort of beta testers and a small pool of people to really have a proof of concept. And they wanted to make sure that the AI was at least 98% accurate. They wanted it higher than human error
yeah.
percentage wise before they released it to the market. So they got it to that point, released it to the market, and the demand was bananas.
Oh, I'm
Immediately
sure.
out of the gate, people were like, I wish I'd had this years ago. Like, I wish I'd had this yesterday.
Yeah,
And so 2023 really hit the ground running and it grew quite quickly from, this idea to a small startup. And then I joined the team in January of 2024 as the founding marketing hire, like the very first full-time marketing hire. And it is so gratifying to see the growth that Toggle has experienced over the 2 years that I've been there. So we're
yeah,
recording this in February 2026, so almost exactly 2 years at the company. And now we're at a point where we have thousands of users. We have some of the top ENR 500 companies, but we also have a lot of, I'm particularly proud of this, and this is a passion point for me. We have a lot of small businesses who really don't have the resources that these giant multi-billion-dollar construction firms have.
yeah.
And they are able to stay in business because they
That's
have
awesome.
what is essentially a junior estimator on their team with
Yeah,
Toggle. And I would love to speak more to AI not replacing people. We'll get there because it can't and it won't.
yeah.
What it can do, as you mentioned, is alleviate that time that it used to take a one person, two person, GC to not waste hours of their week, but spend hours of their week that could have been spent
Yep.
doing more bids or being on jobs. just allowed them it allows them to spend their time in a more valuable way to their business and to
Yep.
stay in business, which in this economy is very, very important to me.
Yeah.
So, as far as our ideal customers, I would say that general contractors find a ton of value in Toggle. And then we do also work with subcontractors. We have a huge amount of painters, flooring professionals. There's a lot of new features being developed that are trade specific. Drywall is a big one that's coming
Yeah.
up. Watch this space. We're always looking to, how do I put this? Like, invent the solution that people are like, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And now we're at the point where we've grown so much that we can do more specific things for trades.
Yeah, that's so good. And Kelsey, I love that it came back to you said your CEO that lives in Florida
Mm.
doing this with his granddad and then seeing the problem. And
Yeah.
so he has and there to me, there's just nothing better than a company built off of somebody that's been in the industry for a period of time and
Yes.
saw a problem that needed to be solved. And it basically learned the technology to go solve the original problem because he felt the pain points. And so I think there's massive power behind that.
Totally. And our head of CS is a former estimator. Our head of growth is a former estimator with an engineering degree. Like, the people on our team come from a construction background. They saw those problems, they experienced those problems every day. Even though we are a fully remote company, our CEO, Patrick, and our head of growth, Johnny Magzal, both are still in that coastal construction building. They are
Yeah.
around construction constantly. I think that's a huge difference for any technology of like, do you have people who experienced the problem that their ICP has?
Yeah.
It's like a shortcut.
Yeah. That's so good. Okay, so it seems like to me, I mean, y'all can work with the multi-billion dollar massive GCs that are out there building hospitals, huge skyscrapers, whatever, all the way down to a home builder that's
Mhm.
wanting to develop a subdivision. Is that kind of like, and you'll
Yeah.
fit everything in between? Is that really y'all's
If someone
service?
if someone needs to do a takeoff, we can help them. If
Yeah.
you want to boil it down to one thing, if someone has to do a takeoff, they will love Toggle.
Yeah, that's so powerful. I love that so much. And one more question before we kind of dive into the business side of it.
Mhm.
I was looking at y'all's website and I felt this because we were talking a little bit about my education previously in college. I was in the building science world, but there's a point in y'all's website where you said so much of the time, energy, and effort for building anything on this planet happens before you even break ground.
Oh my
And
gosh, yeah.
so, can you kind of speak to how this massively helps construction companies, make more money or whatever they're trying to solve, stay afloat? Why that's so beneficial for the people that just don't understand construction.
Mm, if it's okay, I just had like a fun memory pop up of my own life. Keep it or cut it, either
Yeah,
way.
I love it.
When you said that, this image of my dad popped into my head. So my dad was a builder, and he actually built the condo building that my mom still lives in to this day down in San
Wow.
Diego, and he passed away a little over 10 years ago. And I just got this image of him standing in uh, like, in the piece of land before they poured the foundation
Yeah,
for the building that my mom still lives in. I think it's so special. There's something that there's something very special about being in construction because you see the physical manifestation of your work and
yeah,
sometimes for generations to come.
yeah,
Real people live in the buildings that you build. Real people receive treatment in the hospitals that you build. Like, there's
yeah.
something very gratifying and important about being a construction pro.
Uh-huh.
And because I really do think it is a noble pursuit, any opportunity that we have to help people build better and faster, we gotta take it,
Yeah,
especially right now because there is such a need for updated housing. There's such a housing shortage. I mean, I know I'm preaching to the choir here. Pre-construction is the most expensive part of building a building. And here's why. It is the place where all of the errors get made that then have bigger and bigger, like, compound interest
yeah.
implications for your bottom line later. If your
Wow.
pre-con is buttoned up and your takeoff is correct and your bid is on point, then you have a much better chance of having a profit,
Yeah.
a higher profit margin than if things fell through the cracks in the pre-con. Also, simply from a business perspective, if you are making more bids, it's just a numbers game. If you are submitting more bids, you are more likely to win more work. If you are only submitting a bid every couple of weeks, people are going to beat you to the punch in this day and
Yeah, yeah,
age.
yeah.
So it boils down to it's a business decision.
Yeah,
More than an efficiency, like, more than, like, your day-to-day work decision, it's a business decision. You need to
yeah,
get
absolutely.
more at the end of the day.
Yeah. Kelsey, I love that you said that because obviously, our podcast is called Built for Profit. And what we focus on, like, what are the key drivers that actually allow you to create the profit and operate with margins so you can have greater impact in what
Mhm,
you're called to do as a business owner. And to your point, that is so critical for not just in the construction industry, but I'm talking about almost every trader. There's so many businesses out there that so many of the errors happen in the first upfront pricing of a service that you're about to go provide. And to
mhm.
have and leverage technology to help you be more efficient, more effective, and more accurate to be
Yeah.
able to do those things is massively important in almost every business because like you said, a lot of times you get into the work, there's nothing you can do, and you realize you're going to finish this job and not make any money doing it. And why would you even do that job in the first place if you knew you weren't going to make money doing it? And so
There's
there's
another
power in that.
Absolutely, and there's another element that I don't think gets talked about enough, which is trust and getting more jobs from the same contractors.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
They trust you now. So we had this client, Total Flooring Contractors, really big flooring company, and they were given 48 hours to take off a 30-story high rise.
wow,
And they used Toggle. They were able to do it. And not only were they able to do it, but they caught an error for the GC. They won that
wow,
job. And then we followed up with them a year later. And it turned out that not only were they able to do that takeoff in 48 hours, win that 30-story high rise, they actually got another job without even having to go through the same, rigmarole bid submittal process
yeah,
because they had already done such a good job for that GC. So it has, again, it's that idea of compound interest for your profits. It's
yeah.
not just like catching a couple of errors early. It's, oh, this has implications to get me more work in 1, 3, 5 years.
Yeah, that's so good, Kelsey. I love that. I think there's just, yeah, so much power in having systems and processes with a technology that can do exactly what you just said, build trust with your clients and have long-term relationships. I think that's beautiful. So, okay, I'm curious for internally for y'all, what does
Yeah.
it look like moving forward? What are you excited about? What do you have momentum in? Obviously, you talked about the drywall space possibly coming up soon. And like, is that kind of where you're thinking is like the future of Togo is continuing to go into specific trades to be kind of the expert in each one of those trades? Or what does the future look like?
I w I have to be mindful of how much I'm allowed to share,
Yeah.
but what I will say is that first and foremost, we are an artificial intelligence company, but a takeoff company. So there are problems in the industry that we know still exist and that other technologies have not yet been able to solve for. We are very bullish on solving for those issues. We also know that there are very specific to different trades, things that come up that really matter to people, and we are growing at an extremely rapid but, like, good pace. We are hiring new tech talent, new product talent. We're expanding our team a lot this year. We have plans to pretty much double the size of the company again.
Wow.
Um, and the reason I share that is because we want to make sure, first and foremost, no pun intended, that we have the best, fastest takeoff tool in the world that is easy for people to use
Yeah.
and then offers them additional benefits for their trade. We want to solve people's problems. At the end of
Yeah.
the day, that's what we want to do.
Yeah, that's great, Kelsey. In fact, there's this famous quote from Dan Cathy, or I guess Truett Cathy, who started Chick-fil-A, if you're familiar with that,
Of
the fast
course.
food
I
chain.
went to school in North Carolina. Are you kidding?
I love it. Okay, yeah, started in Atlanta, not too far from us, but
Yeah.
There's this famous story where he's sitting in the bedroom and they're talking about how do we get bigger? How do we get bigger? How do we get bigger?
Mhm.
Sorry, boardroom is what I meant to say. And he slams his fist down in the boardroom and he says, "Stop worrying about getting bigger. If
That's
we
right.
get better, our customers will demand that we get bigger."
That's
And
right.
I just love that thought. And it goes directly back to what you're doing is you're just saying like, hey, let's narrow the focus. Let us be the fastest, most accurate estimating AI tool on the planet. And then growth is just going to happen, you
Growth is
know?
gonna happen.
Yeah.
Exactly, and I think it is really beneficial to let the market dictate this
Yeah.
is where the need is. I think a lot of technology companies have this backwards, where they invent things and then nobody wants it. But they're so focused on being this, like, shiny tech solution,
Yep.
but they're not actually considering how people spend their time day to day or, like, what
That's
people
right.
care about.
Yeah.
Letting the market dictate where you grow is the best possible way to grow a business.
Yeah. I love it. You're exactly right. Couldn't have said better. Okay. Last question as we kind of wrap up a little bit. I'm curious, what do you see kind of as the bottlenecks or the things that are in your business right now that maybe you or the leadership team or just kind of that's what they wake up thinking about of like what's the next thing to do? And I think you might have mentioned some of it, but I'm just curious to get your thoughts on that.
Bottlenecks. I mean, honestly, having enough people to serve our existing customers and our growing interest, we're able to do it. And I think that finding opportunities for increasing the ability for people to ask questions and get help is something that's very top of mind for me as a marketing person.
Gotcha.
My goal is if someone has a question or runs into a roadblock, I I love beginner's mind, but I completely understand that it's very uncomfy for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So when people have a question or run into a roadblock within their process, I want it to be as easy as possible for them to get an answer as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So that is something that I think we do a very good job of, but I think there's even more room to grow there. Bottlenecks also just the construction industry, not to like blame anything, but the construction industry in general is quite resistant to change. Figuring out how to show, not tell, why switching from the tool you've used for 30 years is going to be worth it, why having to be uncomfy and learn a new tool for a little bit is going to be worth it. That is a challenge, but it's one I like tackling. I mean, clearly it's
Yeah, well, Kelsey, you're not the first person that I've heard and witnessed that the construction industry is, you know, allergic to change a little bit. And so I fully agree, but I love what y'all are doing and just serving people. I think, like you said, when you see the benefits and what it could potentially do for your business,
that's
that's
right.
kind of a no-brainer in my opinion. So I think that's fascinating. So for you on the, as y'all continue to grow at such a fast pace, I'm curious when you more and more customers coming in the door every day, and you do want to provide that personal touch customer experience for them to answer questions for people that are like, "Hey, I don't even know what I'm doing here. What do I need to do?" Do you
Mhm.
just have like a team of people that are like ready to pick up the phone, or is it more that y'all are actually developing another AI software that can be a bot that is like very unique to the customer experience as well?
I would say it's a multi-pronged approach. So
Yeah,
rather than the traditional way of like you just have like a customer service rep and like a help article, that may have worked 5, 10 years ago, but that is not the world that we live in right now.
yeah,
And um, something that I believe in very wholeheartedly is showing people the solution rather than just telling them the solution.
yeah,
What that means is something we're working on right now is we're doing I mean, I love video, video first, everything.
yeah,
So, creating a lot of short form videos and or interactive tours where people can actually see what it's supposed to look like
yeah,
is something that I'm very, very focused on, as well as having multiple ways for people to get in touch. And the reason for that is because people's brains work differently.
yeah,
Something I learned when I was really heavy in the copywriting world was people learn differently. There are visual learners, auditory learners, people who learn by reading words, people
yep,
who just want to see you do it, and people who just want to try it themselves. You cannot expect every person to come in and read a wordy help article
Yeah,
and immediately be able to fix their own problem. Like, that's
that's right.
not being actual support. So, to answer your question, it's a multi-pronged approach for all different types of learners, all different types of brains, and having people be able to choose their own adventure as much as possible.
Okay, you drilled, and I know we're a little bit over time, but I want to kind of dig in on this for a second. This has been one of the biggest challenges for me as well because I have my mind thinks very efficiently and trying to build things at scale. And so I'm like, we need one communication channel that every single person falls into because that's the best way to grow and expand at scale. So everything's streamlined, nothing falls through the cracks, any of those things. But
Mhm.
me building that has in turn prevented the customer support that we should be doing internally in our own business because I'm like, majority or at least half the people that we're serving don't think the way I think because they don't learn the way I learn, you know? So it's like
Yeah.
what I perceive as the best way to like give them answers or kind of take them on the journey,
Mhm.
half the people or more are not going to perceive that as the best way. And so
Yeah.
I'm for you, like once again, this just speaks to my heart so much because it's something I'm trying to solve right now. Do you mind just expanding a little bit on how your approach is? Like, obviously, the way I think about it is obviously you have the billions sets of communication channels, right? Whether it's Slack or email or text messages or phone calls or all the different communications, but then there's the what you mentioned, the visuals or the text learning or all the different things. So like how do you even tackle something that could be that wide? What where in reality it's the same repeatable message that you're delivering on these 50 different channels, but how are you even starting to tackle this?
Yep. Great question. All right, here goes. Two places where people are going to have questions. One is if they are a lead and not yet a customer.
Yep.
And two is if they are a user of the product and they've run into a roadblock. For both sets of people, you want to have one place where they know they are supposed to go for answers. And within that place, you can list different pathways for them to receive those answers. Here's what I mean. On our website, we have a chatbot and we're developing this to be more robust literally as we speak,
Yeah, I'm sure.
where if someone has a question who is a lead and not a user of a product, we can talk with them like it's a chatbot. It's AI. We experience them constantly, we know, and it will direct you to either the FAQ page, and we'll get into that in a second. It will direct you to the blog, like a relevant blog article, depending on what question you asked. Or it will say, like, do you want to book a demo? Do you want to talk to an actual person about this?
Got it.
So that's one place for leads. What I think you're speaking to, though, is your user base.
Exactly. Yep.
So, what we determined through research was that people were craving, rather than a separate help center that they had to type in a URL and go to a separate help center, we
Yep.
determined that people wanted the ability to access help while in the product.
Yeah.
So we developed, the tech team and the product team developed a learning tab. Excuse me. So when you are in Toggle, there's like, you can either be in Toggle doing your takeoff or you can switch to the Learn tab. And inside the Learn tab, there are 4 tiles, and each of those tiles takes you down a different pathway. The first tile is just the straight up, like, traditional help articles. What are you
Oh,
looking for? Do you like, there are GIFs, videos, and text within the help articles, traditional.
yep.
Then there is a welcome video, like an onboarding. Here's, the gist of Toggle with additional training videos underneath it.
Okay.
Then we have another tile that's called Toggle Academy. This is something I'm really proud of. We created a online course. People can walk through it and become a Toggle expert at their own pace. It's videos, it's text, but it's like a course versus like a specific help article.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then finally, we have a link to join live trainings. We have, I think, 13 sessions a week of onboardings and trainings. There's office hours that if you really want to like show up and share a screen and you're not a big enough account to have a dedicated customer service rep, You can go to those trainings. There's a link to join it live at any time. So, though, and the other really important thing here is we made it so that you do not have to scroll. So
Oh,
it
wow. Yeah.
tiles then expand into like other little worlds, right?
Yeah.
But if you confuse them, you lose them.
Yeah, for sure.
The learning tab, everybody now knows if I have a question while I'm in Toggle, I go to the learn tab. And then depending on my style of learning, I get my answer. Yeah,
Wow. Yeah. That's brilliant. Kelsey, I love that because, yeah, like you said, they're the one choosing their best mode of understanding or like a pursuit of understanding.
that's right. And credit to the tech and product teams for building that out. And it came from our customers, our feedback from our customers
Yeah.
of wanting more education, more tutorials. We got that from our customers and we take it to heart. And that's why we
Yeah.
built it in the first place.
I think there's so much wisdom in that statement right there because I have bashed my head against the wall trying to solve a problem that I've never even asked a customer if this would help them.
There you go.
And I feel like so many business owners fall into that trap of saying like, okay, I've had this great idea of how it's going to help everybody on the planet because if I build it and I invest in it and I build the technology and all the things, and they don't even ask the market and or people that are already paying them money to say,
Mhm.
would this benefit you or not? And it can just speed up the whole process. So I love that so much. Okay, Kelsey, I feel like we could talk for hours. We got to wrap up. If people want to know more about you, more about your company, where's the best place to find you?
Yeah, to learn more about Toggle, head to our website. It's toggle.ai. That's TOGAL.ai. And if you want to learn more about me, you can find me on LinkedIn, Kelsey Formost. I'm on Instagram. I've got a website. But for this podcast, I think probably LinkedIn is the best place to find me.
I love it. That's awesome, Kelsey. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. It was a privilege. I just appreciate you coaching me up a little bit today.
Anytime, Austin. Thanks so much for having me.